Possums? This is Michael from the Myconic channel, and this is our show, Let's Talk. We will be covering 3 topics today. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah. What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? COVID. What do we miss about the pre-COVID days? Do we miss the travel? Where will we travel if we have the chance? And astrology. What's your name? What's your sign? With me today are Brittany and Shantara. Ladies, are we ready? Let's talk. On Sunday, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan of Sussex sat down with Oprah for an interview. In that interview, there were discussions of history being repeated, being unprotected, bad press, and racism from the people in the UK and in the royal family. The Queen has issued a statement of concern over the charges, says recollections vary and that they will deal with the matter privately. Prince William has come out and said that the family is absolutely not racist. Do you think the Queen's statement was satisfactory? Was Prince William's? And what did you take away from the interview? Let's discuss. For me, I guess I can start. I watched the full interview the day after it came out because I was flying when the whole thing was happening live, so I got the last 30 minutes, and then I was watching what have you. And what struck me is the similarities between what Meghan Markle and Prince Harry had said in that interview and what Princess Diana said in the 1995 interview with Panorama about how the royal family deals with people. And then I was, going back and watching actually an interview with Sarah Ferguson, or Fergie as they knew her at the time, whatever, saying virtually the same thing that Diana said and that Meghan said. And it makes me think, I'm like, if 3 people are saying the same thing about the same family, clearly there's a problem.
So for me, I don't think that the statement was satisfactory. And for me, the interview, I just watched it today, and it was interesting because for me, at the beginning of the interview, I feel like Meghan was kind of a little more, she was kind of childlike, in my opinion, in the beginning of the interview. And then, you saw a switch, especially, in her body language and everything. In the beginning of the interview, she was, really, really, seemed like it was childlike, but it was, she seemed like she was, too reserved, in my opinion, especially to be speaking about what she was speaking about.
Right.
And I kind of saw a switch when Harry came out. Whenever she would, interject, she was a little more passionate. It seemed like the situation and the topics where she was a little more touched, and I don't know if maybe she was feeding off of his energy or if they feed each other or what it is, but she seemed a lot stronger when Harry came out. As far as her speech and everything that she just seemed so much more passionate about it. And I don't know if that was because she was so used to, I'm not sure of how many interviews they've done since they've left Europe, but I don't know if she just became accustomed to having to be that way in the media, and when she was speaking to people, just from what I'm hearing from the conversation and everything that they went through, I don't know if that was because she had experienced so much with the media back in Europe that she kind of felt like she had to be, or if when he's around she's just a little stronger.
He's her protector almost.
Yeah. Did anyone else notice that, or was it just me? Because I was really bored at the beginning.
I saw that.
Because at the beginning, I felt like maybe it's because she was coming into the interview, everything was kind of new, and depending on how much she and Oprah had talked before, it just seemed like she was a little more timid to have the conversations. But the moment that Harry did come out, she almost bolstered the conversation more. Absolutely, this is what happened, and she interjected a lot more, and it might be because maybe she just felt more comfortable. After time goes by, you spend a few hours with the person, you tend to let your hair down a little bit more. But I saw it. I just thought the beginning of her interview, I'm just gonna say it right now, I thought she was an idiot for not researching.
Same. I wrote that in my notes.
Are you kidding me?
I wrote I have to interject on that for a second, because I think when it came down to the situation with her interviewing first, I think she knew all eyes were going to be on her, and coming into that, she probably was very, very nervous, because again, you've had these people bear down on you, and you've been pretty much alone. I get the feeling that she was kind of reserved, because again, she's had to deal with this scrutiny and this pressure essentially by herself from day one. And I think she wanted to be more measured in what she said and how she said it in the beginning, because she had nobody to back her up there first.
Yeah.
And then when go ahead.
But a lot of the things that she did when she was over in Europe, she did alone as well, right?
Right.
Because he wasn't always there.
Right.
He couldn't always. I just wonder if that was just something she like maybe, or it could have been her, because I didn't know when they first started dating. I heard about it and I saw her. I didn't see what the big deal was about her being, she to me, she doesn't really. When I first saw her, I didn't think she was black. When they initially started dating, I didn't.
Right.
Like, I can't lie. Next to him now, though, she does look very black to me. I'm sorry to go off topic. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, it's like, honestly, I was thinking about it because, again, like, history's my thing or whatever. You go back to Princess Diana. And, pretty much she bore a lot of the scrutiny by herself. She had a husband, but she was by herself. And I think with her, you would think with the lessons from Diana and Princess Fergie, for that matter, the family would have been better equipped to handle these kind of struggles, these kind of pressures, what have you. Because again, like the point she had made was that people are protecting that family. Looking at Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is associates with Jeffrey Epstein, who is a child molester, allegedly, and a human trafficker. And his questionable, ties with them have not been really addressed. The family said he's going to step back, and that was going to be the end of it. Then you get Meghan Markle, saying that everybody's saying she's a bully in the not the office, but in the castle in Buckingham Palace, whatever. But it's like, okay, she's a bully. One, why did you wait 3 years to put that story out until she's come out with this interview? And it's like you're catching and killing stories of importance about people in your family, but you're letting this girl go out to the wolves. And it's kind of like what they did with Diana. Like, a lot of things came out about Diana. It didn't come out about Diana from the paparazzi. It came out from the family. The family was making issues of her bulimia, of her depression, of so on and so forth. And it's like, it's the same thing. Then you add the racial overtones to it, and it becomes an even grander problem.
I think it was very admirable that he got his family out of there. His father was a coward, and he didn't do enough to keep his wife safe. He was having an affair all the time. I don't even know if he really loved his wife, honestly.
No, he didn't.
To Charles.
No, he didn't.
Harry did the right thing by getting his family out of there.
Speaking of Charles, because I remember when Diana and Charles first got engaged, they asked the question. He's like, "Oh, are you guys in love?"
And I suppose in love.
Of course.
Whatever in love means.
Yeah, I think he loved
Camilla,
his mistress.
Yeah, he did. Like, that's actually an interesting point to bring up, because Camilla has been, the Queen thought that Camilla was like the catalyst for all the wrongs in their marriage, or a lot of the wrongs in their marriage, and she was against their union for a very, very long time. Australia actually had, like, the idea of being a republic got ginned up again when the thought of Prince Charles coming to the throne with Camilla as his wife started about 20 years ago. And like, for the past 30 years or so, the Republic sentiment in Australia has actually grown. With this interview, Australians are saying the same thing again, talking about, oh, we might want to become a republic again, because a lot of the people in the Commonwealth, people don't realize this, a lot of people in England are white, but a lot of people in the Commonwealth are minorities. And to have somebody say, oh, well, they were concerned about the skin tone of their great-grandchild, whatever, because he's with somebody who is half black, it doesn't read well. And saying, oh, we're not racist doesn't cut it.
Point, Michael. They were very specific, and Oprah came back on the interview with Gail the next day and said she got a text from them saying it was not the Queen and it was not her husband. So Prince Philip did not say that, even though there may be some type of ties there.
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel it was either Charles or William.
Right.
They both have the ability to become king, where they would do the most damage if the Commonwealth found out something like that. But they were very, very tight-lipped on exactly who it was.
Well, I'm not saying it was the Queen or the Prince Consort. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's in the family. And you read the statement. The way the statement was put out to me is like, we're not denying what was said, but we don't want to give it credence. And it's like, look, either it happened or it didn't. And basically saying, oh, recollections have varied. I'm like, no, either it was said or it wasn't. If you were truly not a racist family, whatever, you would have said, we condemn racist behavior, we condemn racist language, we don't like any of that, so on and so forth. And the Queen has this really, really bad habit of basically putting out these statements when things are rough, whatever, that straddle the fence. Like,
but is it her, or is it someone speaking on her behalf?
Well,
like, she's an older woman, and I don't know who the firm is, me personally. I don't know how to I don't know who's running the country. I don't know if it's the family or if it's the firm. You hear the firm, and then you hear the family. So is it actually her making these statements?
Well, she's more of a ceremonial figurehead than anything else. But things go through her. But what I'm saying is, because I remember when Princess Diana died, whatever, it took her 6 days to make a statement. By the which point, actually, the people of Britain were like, "Look, bitch, you need to go. We're over monarchy, so on and so forth." It got bad. It got really bad. And she gave a statement. And it was very. Again, it was lukewarm. It was nice. It was needed. It was needed to calm everybody down, but it was lukewarm at best. And these statements that come out from the palace, because their big thing is actually mostly to ignore these types of things, whatever. They come out lukewarm instead of saying strongly, we condemn racism, be it in our family or in this country, but that's not what we're about. If she would have said that, whether somebody said it or not, people wouldn't have an issue with the statement. And that's where I'm looking at it. It's like, look, you're the queen of the Commonwealth. You are the ceremonial figurehead of the Commonwealth. You are the face, essentially, of 8 different countries in the world. You need to do better. You and your office need to do better in how you approach these things. Because, again, people already don't like the monarchy as it is. And people like Meghan McCain and people in America are like, oh, this might bring it down. Ooh, I'm so excited. So it's like, you need to really toe the line here and actually put out some strong language for once and be assertive about what you believe in. If you don't believe racism is right, but being in the family or not, then say it. Don't say, we're going to deal with this privately, whatever, when you didn't deal with the fact that Meghan was a quote-unquote bully privately. You publicly announced you're going to have an investigation about that. So why is it okay, again, to protect people in your family and for what they have said, but you can throw under the bus by publicly announcing an inquiry about whether or not this girl bullied out her staff or not. So,
I think that goes back to she should have researched them, because they were very, very harsh on his mother.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Extremely harsh. And the fact that you're going to be with him, like, Harry has his own little transgressions and things that he did, especially when he came over to America, that they kind of played down a bit and he's then grown from.
Right.
But the way that they specifically treated Diana, someone who came from outside of the family and I'm sorry, she got the worst end of the stick with them. And
but she had a title, didn't she?
Yeah, she was. Her father.
Their family, I think she had a title.
Her father was the Earl of Spencer and the Viscount of Althorp. So she was when she was first born, she was the Honorable Diana Spencer. Then she became Lady Diana Spencer, and then she that's why she was chosen. People don't realize the way that these things go is like back in the day anyway. This wasn't a love match situation. This was you come from the right stock. You're decent looking because God knows they need somebody good looking in that family. You'll do, and you're a virgin. Perfect. Camilla Parker Bowles, everybody knows was what Charles wanted. We all know that. However, she wasn't a virgin. She wasn't from any she didn't have any major titles or anything to her name, whatever. And truthfully, she wasn't all that pretty. And then she got married to one of his friends, so he couldn't have her. So Diana was young, much younger than Charles. Charles was in his early 30s. She was 19. And they found somebody who was attractive and who was young and who, seemingly a very sweet girl, whatever, and they threw her to the wolves. And, this has been a trend in the royal family for a long time. You go back to the Queen's uncle, who had to give up his throne because he wanted to marry somebody who was a divorcee. Her sister, they threatened to cut her off because she wanted to get married to somebody who's a divorcee. So, what people have to realize about the British family is it's not so much about your feelings, it's about your sense of duty. You have a duty to the crown, you have a duty to the establishment, to the firm. That is where your loyalty lies. Your feelings, essentially, do not matter. And to your point, Brittany, if I'm dating you, I need to know something about you. Now, I'm sorry, I don't believe that she did not research him at least a little bit. Because you'd be a damn fool if you didn't.
That was odd. The fact that her mother, even in the interview, I think she said something like her mother asked her if Princess Diana had ever done an interview. And I'm like, what? Well, did anybody else catch that?
I did catch that, but you're also forgetting her mom's an American. And Americans, I don't think they get Panorama here. Because a lot of Americans don't watch British television. I happen to be...
Yeah, but everybody knew who Princess... Not everybody knew, but we knew who Princess Diana was.
We knew who she was, but we interviews, things like that, whatever. I don't think many Americans... A lot of Americans don't care. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, you get the Meghan McCains of the world. It's like, oh, well, we fought a war in 1776, whatever. After that, they stopped mattering. So, like, we think of them as celebrities. So, we look at the celebrity, whatever, but we don't really focus on the details of their lives. Honestly, most people probably never hear about her or know who Princess Diana was till she died.
True.
But honestly, to me, it was just very interesting, how everything went down, like the whole interview. And I was kind of let down by it though, because I felt like it wasn't as like explosive as people. I'm sure the royal family feel differently, of course, but to me, it wasn't as explosive as I thought it was going to be.
I think I was looking for more too, only because I feel like when you go public with something, you kind of want the public's support when you go public. So I feel like you have to actually give the public something to fight for you. Like, give them something to fight for you with. Like, and I don't really think they gave much. I knew, like, I knew that she was being, I knew that they were trying to put it out that she was a problem.
Right.
I knew that before this. Mm-hmm. And even I don't really know much about the royal family. I don't know much about them, but it was even in headlines here.
Right.
So I don't know how people, this is new to, it wasn't new to me.
Right.
I honestly wasn't even really that interested in watching the video. I thought it was interesting from like everything that I saw, but the beginning of the interview for me was very boring. Agreed. And it was very hard for me to watch the beginning of it because of how sheepish she was.
I agree. Like, because I remember because I did my video on it, whatever. So I was preparing notes, and I'm like, I need to get through this. I'm ready to fall asleep. I'm like, it's ridiculous, but I find it interesting because I was watching it on Twitter, and somebody saying, well, she made a comment that she had suicidal thoughts, and somebody was like, oh yeah, how could you have suicidal thoughts, but you're wearing all these expensive outfits and this glitzy shit's going on, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, do you know how ignorant that sounds? And which brings me to my next point in just a second. It's like for instance, like one of my favorite singers is Chris Cornell from Soundgarden and Audio Slave. He gave a concert, an hour and a half later he killed himself. Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, one of my favorite singers, was playing Bean Boozled with his son. The next day he hung himself. Like, just because you have the glitz and the glamour, which is Diana said the same thing herself, you have all the stuff, outside the appearance looks great, whatever, but you're screaming and suffering inside, and you're asking for help, and sometimes you're getting the wrong kind of help. But actually brought me to Piers Morgan, who actually, because of this interview, ended up losing his job with Good Morning Britain, because he said he didn't believe a word that came out of her mouth and kind of just dismissed her claims for mental health. So I was going to ask you what you guys thought about that part, if you guys ever heard about that anyway.
I feel like Pierce is a lot of hot air. So a lot of the information that I would hear about him or that he would say and I would catch glimpses of it, I don't really pay too much attention to him. Anytime someone mentions that they've gone through something mental health-wise, I'm very, very standoffish. I'm never going to say that it's wrong. I'm never going to say that your truth isn't yours. And I feel like for you to be able to have that conversation, it takes a lot of courage. There's not one person, I think, that would ever claim to be suicidal just for
attention.
I don't know, shits and giggles or attention or, like that's not something that I feel people do. So at that point, it's an immediate, like, okay, what do you need from us? Where can we help out type feeling that I get, more so than you're a complete liar.
Right. Like, I think that was the part that threw me the most, because, again, it goes back to an interview Diana had where she was feeling suicidal when she was pregnant, and she threw herself down the stairs. And it's like, these things are real, especially for women, because very few men who aren't of the aristocracy marry into this family. And become senior members. So, the pressures are a lot different for a woman, because you have to bear the child. You have to have, you raise it, be, part of the child's, formative years, whatever. And then you have to talk around, you can't really have a bad day. You can't PMS. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't be in a bad mood. You have to be smiling and laughing all the time, whatever. And that can be very, very stressful. And so, like, hearing people, because honestly, like, just the stuff that he has said about Meghan Markle in the past 4 years, if he said that about me, I probably have some suicidal thoughts too. It's just like, it was unending. And he would sit there and trash her because, I don't know if you guys know the story or not, but they went on a quote unquote date
I
and
heard that.
she left him and went to a party where she met Prince Harry, and ever since then, pretty much, he has bashed her and trashed her. And he also owns the Daily Mail. He's a editor for the Daily Mail, so he has an outlet to spew his hate. Also, what people don't realize is that he is friends, or he was seen with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend / side pimp in his whole kiddie prostitution ring. Which is why a lot of stories about Prince Andrew have not come out from that site. Allegedly. I want to cover my ass here. I ain't trying to go to jail. Shit. But yeah,
I don't know. From that entire interview, the thing that I personally took away is, for Meghan's side of things, I'm sorry, I didn't get much that was different. I didn't get much that I felt super emotionally attached or anything to. I felt bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
But Harry, on the other side, when he came out, I swear I wanted to cry.
Really?
Because, yeah, the fact that you're losing your family, like, even though it's the right thing to do, you lost your family. You lost the people, got financially cut off. You have all this stuff being spewed about you, all this stuff being spewed about your family. There are so many people, if you look at the Instagram page of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex page, who are spewing all this hate and vitriol and things like that, I mean, you see that this is your family, and, his dad hasn't answered his phone calls. His brother and him, have a strained relationship. He's lost his mother. He's seen the same cycle
Right.
that his mother go through his wife now. And being into that type of family, I can only imagine when the protocol is that the grandchild of the monarchy gets a title.
Right.
And the first thing that you guys come and say is, by the way, your kid's not going to have a title, they're not going to have security, and you look at them and go, well, WTF?
Well, actually,
to me, that seems like a huge, culture shock for him, and I just felt bad for the guy.
well, to that point, here's the thing about that. There is truth, the grandkids.
Question.
I'm sorry?
Oh no, I had a question about that.
What's up?
So is it true that if someone of the monarch is born to, I guess a common bloodline, they wouldn't be
No.
royalty?
No. Pretty much the thing of it goes like this. The grandchild of the monarch has the title. Archie is her great-grandchild. Prince William is the heir to the throne. Harry is the spare. That's what they called them when they were born, the heir and the spare. William's kids will automatically inherit a title because their dad will most likely, in all likelihood, be king. Harry will not most likely be king. And if you look at the Queen's other children, some of them have royal titles and courtesies, some don't. So in that respect, yeah, it could be one of those things where it's oh yeah, it's because he's black or something of that nature, whatever. But it's not exactly a guarantee that's why it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it wasn't a black thing. It was just a common bloodline thing.
Well, no, because if you look at it, Diana, for all intents and purposes, what have you, when you look at it, it was a commoner. Yeah, she was a lady or she was honorable, these things like that, whatever, but she was not of royal peerage. And so if that were the case, then that rule would apply to her kids as well. But they're, Prince Henry, which is his proper name, and Prince William.